All right, so I wanted to make a brief video on the platonic solids. First, what they are and how you can memorize their faces, vertices, and edges. So the first things first, the platonic solids, the person who was the first to talk a lot about them is Plato. Plato was a very famous Greek mathematician, right? And platonic means Plato's, right? So Plato was the first person to talk about him and talk about them. And what he discovered was that there's only five of them. And these five shapes, the tetrahedron, hexahedron, octahedron, dodecahedron, and icosahedron, are the only five shapes in the entire mathematics that they are made up of all regular shapes of the same shape. So the tetrahedron is made up of all equilateral triangles, right? The hexahedron, which we also know as the cube, is made up of all squares, right? The octahedron is made up of all equilateral triangles. The dodecahedron is made up of all pentagons, regular pentagons, so all the pentagons are exactly the same. And the icosahedron is made up of equilateral triangles. Okay? These are the only five shapes that there are in the universe that are like this. They're all made up of the same regular shape. Okay? They're so neat. They were such neat shapes that different throughout history, scientists used to think that these were how the universe was structured, right? How the planets were orbiting around the Earth, right? They thought the Earth or maybe the sun was the center of the universe. And they thought all the shapes, the solar system was rotating in these platonic solids. It wasn't true, but it was kind of cool that they thought that that might be true because they were fascinated by these shapes, okay? So the next thing I want to talk about is how do you memorize them? Well, first things first, you got to memorize their faces, okay? If you can memorize their faces, I can show you a shortcut to memorizing the vertices, all right? What I want you to notice is that the faces and vertices for the tetrahedron are the same, but every one after that, they crisscross. So watch this. This crisscrosses to there, this crisscrosses to there. This crisscrosses to here, this crisscrosses to there. The number of faces in a hexahedron is the number of vertices on the octahedron. The number of faces on a dodecahedron is the number of vertices on the icosahedron. Okay? And vice versa for the other faces. So they crisscross, and because they crisscross, they're pretty easy to know. All right? Now, okay, Mr. Cosby, I get that. They crisscross, so I can memorize that faster because of that. But how do I get the edges? Well, what I want you to know is there's another flashcard called Euler's formula, and it says faces plus vertices equals edges plus 2. Okay? The way I memorize this is 5, 2, right? Can you kind of see this? Faces plus vertices equals edges plus 2. I call it 5, 2. That's 52 is how I memorized it. All right? But what you'll notice is if you add up the faces and the vertices, it's always the edges plus 2. So look, 4 plus 4 is 8, and minus 2 is 6. 6 plus 8 is 14, minus 2 is 12. 8 plus 6 is 14, minus 2 is 12. So if you add up the faces and the vertices, you'll know the edges because all you have to do is subtract 2. 20 plus 12 is 32. 32 minus 2 is 30, right? So you can easily memorize the edges because of that, all right? So do memorize these because they pop up every once in a while. Make sure you know the hexahedron is just another name for a cube, all right? And they will pop up periodically. Make sure you know them. And they'll pop up on number sense tests and general math tests. So they're worth knowing, okay? Anyways, have a good time with this. Good luck studying, and I'll make another video and see you next time. Bye.